over the weekend, which I cannot say that I was surprised. It was news that was released that basically said that Biden was diagnosed with prostate cancer, an aggressive form of prostate cancer that went all the way down to the bone. Went all the way down to the bone. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. This is what's happening with Biden, y'all.
We begin tonight with breaking news as former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with what they're calling an aggressive form of prostate cancer, which has spread to his bones. This is according to his personal office. They just announced this. The 82-year-old former president's office says Biden and his family are now reviewing treatment options with his physicians. CNN senior White House reporter Betsy Klein is joining us now. And Betsy, obviously a lot of questions around this. What do we know right now?
Certainly, Jessica, a lot of questions going forward, but we know from the personal office of former President Joe Biden that the former president has been diagnosed with what they are describing as an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has metastasized to his bones. I want to read you a full statement from the former president's personal office. It says, last week, President Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of a prostate nodule after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer characterized by a Gleason score of 9 with metastasis to the bone. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. The statement goes on to say that Biden and his family are reviewing treatment options with his physicians. Of course, former President Biden, at 82 years old, made history as the oldest sitting U.S. president, and there were so many concerns and scrutiny about his physical fitness to serve another 4 years, ultimately leaving the president to make the decision back in July of 2024 to drop out of the presidential race. Of course, he has contended that he believes he was indeed fit to serve. And I want to read to you a little bit from a letter from his former physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, who said in a letter back in February of 2024 that Biden was fit for duty. He has sleep apnea, which is being treated. He has non-valvular fibrillation. He's being treated for high cholesterol as well as acid reflux and seasonal allergies. Of course, we have asked the White House, the Trump administration, as well as a spokesperson for Dr. Biden, the First Lady, for comment and reaction to this concerning news. Some signs of optimism, of course, that this type of prostate cancer can be responding to it says it appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. But again, quite concerning that it has indeed spread to his bones. Now, the former president has maintained a relatively low profile since leaving office in January, but we have started to see him reemerge on the world stage. He attended the funeral of Pope Francis back on April 26th, and then on May 8th, he was featured as a guest on The View alongside the former First Lady Jill Biden. Now, we do not know where the former president is being treated, but he is in Wilmington this weekend with family, according to a source familiar. And of course, cancer and curing cancer is something that is so near and dear to the former president. Back during the Obama administration, after his son Beau Biden died of glioblastoma, an aggressive brain cancer, the then vice president established the Cancer Moonshot, which was an initiative with a goal of ending cancer as we know it. It was reestablished in 2022. So again, very concerning news, some signs of optimism, but we will be tracking this quite closely, reaching out to all of our sources, Jessica, and bringing you the latest updates as we get them.
So Biden is 82 years old. First of all, let me just say that I don't wish cancer on anybody. I have to say that first. I have to preface this uncomfortable conversation that we're about to have by saying that I don't care what his political stance was. I'm not concerned right now about whether I agree with his time in office. His time in office is his time in office. What he did while he was president of the United States of America and while he served as a public servant for 50 years will be evaluated. That is going to be evaluated. That is going to go down in the history books. That is a conversation that we're always going to have. I am always going to appeal to the humanity side of things by saying that I don't wish cancer on anybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. I don't care if I agreed with you or I disagreed with you. I do not wish cancer on people. And I am not going to take this opportunity to beat a dead horse and say that I didn't agree with him or anything like that. Yes, we do have to have an uncomfortable conversation, and I plan on having that uncomfortable conversation once we bring in another clip that actually speaks to exactly what a doctor's assessment of this is. But the first thing that I want to say is I feel bad for him. I don't wish cancer on anybody, and it's unfortunate that we have to deal with cancer in the first place. So I'm going to leave that there. All right. The question that I have to ask myself is, if it is all the way down to the bone and it's aggressive form of cancer, aside from his age, aside from his obvious failing health, you guys do realize that there were people around him every single day that seen his state, the state that he was in, and they were actually pushing for this guy to become president of the United States of America. I believe it was a bigger play, and I'm gonna share that play with you shortly. But before I do, let's get the rest of the assessment from the doctor that is now speaking on exactly what he thinks his situation is. And let's get more details, and then I'm going to tell you what I think the truth is.
Let's bring in Dr. Mark Siegel, Fox News senior medical analyst. Let me read again from that news release that we got from former President Biden's office, Doctor. It says he was diagnosed with prostate cancer characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, with metastasis to the bone. That doesn't sound good, Doctor.
Gleason 9, John, means that it's in a very aggressive form of cancer. And group 5 means that within that, it's the most aggressive type. That means it has the highest risk of spread, which obviously he has had. He's presenting with urinary symptoms, and I want the viewer to know that most of the time, prostate cancer would be asymptomatic. When it reaches the point where you already have urinary symptoms, that's also a sign that it's pretty far advanced. When they say that it is hormone responsive, that likely means that they think by decreasing testosterone.
People really putting winning an election above his health. It's all relevant, Dean. And I'm going to explain to you why it's relevant and why people are not wrong for talking about the election over his health, or why they are having this conversation about the election with his health.
It can be a testosterone-dependent cancer that it will respond. The two types of therapy they use for that is one called Lupron, which stops testosterone production, and the other is a drug called Casodex or like Casodex, which stops testosterone from binding. They also might decide, and I don't know this, but sometimes they decide to do more than one therapy. They might try to take the prostate out, do radiation and the hormone therapy all together. That's not uncommon. Over 80% of men over the age of 80 have some prostate cancer cells in their body. So this is a very high likelihood in all men. And if it's this far advanced, meaning Gleason 9 metastasized to the bone, the 5-year survival rate is somewhere between 30 and 40%. Again, depending on how well he responds to therapy. One of the questions on everyone's mind, and you just heard this from the reporter, is what about last year's PSA? You know, this was found by physical examination, by a prostate exam. A lot of times we find an elevation in prostate-specific antigen, a PSA, and then we go after it, get an MRI. I mean, he must have had the best possible care here. I'm a little taken aback that it's this far advanced and very, very concerned about it.
Yeah, that's the question I was.
Okay, so Marie says the Harris reporter should be pissed. If he had have stepped down, she would have been the first black woman president. Now, you don't believe that, do you? You don't believe that. You do not believe that if he would have stepped down, she would have been the first black woman president. Let me tell you what I believe. Let me go ahead and get this off my screen. And let's have an uncomfortable conversation. Again, prayers up for them. I don't wish this on anybody, but let me tell you what I truly believe. I believe that the play all along, and the only way that she was ever going to become president of the United States of America, is for them to push him through, knowing what his diagnosis was, so that she ultimately would by default become president of the United States of America. I believe that Joe Biden was the only hope that the Democrats had in beating Trump. And the reality was, once they realized after the debate that it wasn't going to happen, they used him as a scapegoat in order to try to blame her failure on Joe Biden, when in reality, I believe that every single Democrat, not only did they know, but they was aware of it, they supported it, they pushed it, and that the play was to ultimately allow for her to become president of the United States of America by default. He always had this, and you're not going to tell me that the president of the United States of America, who regularly gets checkups, who has the best and the greatest doctors around him on a regular basis, who also covered up his memory failure or whatever it is that you want to label it, you're going to tell me that this aggressive form of cancer at this stage that is this much forward, you're going to tell me that they didn't know that this was happening? That nobody knew? Eric D., are you in your right mind going to tell me that you believe that they just discovered this a few months after the November election? December, January, February, March. You telling me that they just discovered this 4 months? 4 months ago? The election was 4 months ago. You telling me they just discovered it now? Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. This thing is so far advanced, and he is with all of the health issues and all of the doctors, and he just said, oh man, I just had a checkup and everything's great. I just had a checkup. You're telling me that they didn't know? Nobody knew. They just discovered it yesterday. They just discovered it yesterday? Come on, family. Come on, man. All of these Democrats, all of these cover-ups, everybody that was there, they need to be held accountable. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. Not even a little bit. I don't even think that Joe Biden has been coherent for the last 3 to 4 years. When Joe Biden first got elected in 2021, when he took office, he looked crazy. He looked like he didn't have a clue. He didn't have a clue at all. You telling me that they didn't know that he had an aggressive cancer was already this far along? Trump just took a test. They did extensive tests on him. In the debate, Trump was looking at him like, man, he don't even know where he at. Honest to God. If you go back and you watch that debate between him and Trump, he looked like he didn't even know where he was at. After the debate, when he was getting off the steps, he looked crazy. He always got a handler. He always got his wife with him. The question that I'm asking myself is, and I think that we're going to keep answering it, we got to keep asking this question, who was running the White House? Who was running the White House? Listen, I'm going to have that conversation more extensively because there's more information that's being dropped. Who was running the White House? And if you don't believe that this was the play, listen, Joe Biden was either going to become a martyr or he was going to become the scapegoat, or both. In my opinion, Biden was going to become a martyr. That's what he wound up being, because they blaming Joe Biden and they forcing him to take responsibility. He's not even coherent. And they forcing him to take responsibility for Kamala Harris losing, because they only care about maintaining. If you think that let me tell you how evil the Democrat Party is. If you think that the Democrat Party give a flying F about Joe Biden, I got a bridge to sell you. If you think that the Democrat Party care anything about Joe Biden, they will eat their own, and that's exactly what they're doing. They will eat their own, and that is exactly what they're doing. They use that man. He probably ain't even coherent. If you look at and you play what his thoughts was and what he was communicating, during his time as vice president to advocate for Obama to become president of the United States of America, he never even had the same thoughts that he have now. He never had the same mindset. He never communicated the same way. He was different. He was a completely different person. He believed in closed borders. There's videos of him being the opposite. Joe Biden was a completely different Democrat than what we seen from 2021 through 2025. He was a completely different Democrat. He was not this at all. He is 100% being used. Eric D., you got to remove your bias. You got to remove your bias on this one, bro. To be so selfish that even his wife, who I believe that she's in on it, and bro, you don't even need no enemies if you got a wife that's willing to put you out there and be able to be used the way that he's used. They sat here and told us that Joe Biden would be fit to serve as president of the United States of America and that he should be reelected. And y'all went for it. We never believed this. No Republican, and even George Clooney said, all right, listen, I'm a pretty liberal guy. The jig is up. The jig is up. The jig is up. Everybody, casual observers on the internet was able to spot this. Nobody in their circle was able to spot it. Nobody did all of the tests. Nobody said, hey, we need to figure it out. And they just now discovered it within the last week. Man, get out of here, bro. Listen, y'all not gonna sit here and finesse me. You're not gonna finesse me. Ray Charles could see this. Ray Charles could see this. This was a play, in my opinion, for them to control, push through everything that they can, steal as much money as they can, get as many immigrants over here as they can, finesse as much as they can, and then ultimately use him to get her to become president of the United States of America. Because ain't no way on God's green earth that any of y'all actually believe that he was fit to serve, to do another term, to do another four. Imagine a level of destruction we would have faced if Biden had been president for another 4 years. Good God. Good God. Everybody needs to be investigated. Everybody needs to be investigated. And it's sad because this ain't nothing but another form of elder abuse. This is nothing but elder abuse. This is sad. Crazy. Can't believe us. We are straight up. We will eat our own to make a couple extra dollars. Joe Biden was a sacrifice. That's why they did that. Thank you, Joe. They already had the signs printed at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. They already had the signs printed. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Don't worry, we gonna deep dive into who was really in charge tomorrow.